What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So today's finally the day. It appears that the final Smash roster will be presented to us, and we'll finally get to see if that Grinch leak is real or if it's fake. It seems pretty divided online, so hey, in a few hours we'll find out. Of course, we'll be live streaming here starting at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. This direct is set to go live at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, so we'll have about half an hour to get people in the room and kind of talk about it and give some ideas and predictions as to what's going to happen and what we can expect. Afterwards, we'll be putting out a video to kind of just go over what happened in the direct. And then, of course, there'll also be a treehouse for everyone to watch, which should be interesting as well. I left the link down below. I already opened the room up and everything, so you can put your reminder if you want, just to make sure it pops up. And we'll see what Smash characters we get, what new modes we learn about, and maybe even about the online. It should be pretty fun as we then cruise towards the December release. But today, we have a few things to go over, including what appears to be a new Undertale game, just stealth dropped. It's been basically 24 hours, so we can kind of talk about it a bit since they asked that everybody kind of waits 24 hours to talk about it. So we'll go over that a bit. And the Mario Party sales are actually better than we thought. And I'm going to even show you how much better it is than we thought, because before with Mario Party, it wasn't the biggest seller. However, this one could end up being one of the best-selling Mario Parties that we've ever seen. And as always, guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you do hit the like button. It does help out. And get subscribed if you enjoy having updates on gaming news and technology, teardowns and everything. Let's get into some of the quick news. We're going to start with PT. Now, PT, of course, it was a demo that was put out a while ago for what was going to end up being, I guess, Silent Hills, and it was a really cool demo. It was very scary. It's terrifying at times for a lot of people, and a lot of people really liked that demo. However, it was ripped off of the shop, as Konami and Kojima had all those issues, and Konami wanted to erase everything they did with them, so they ripped it off of there. However, if you still had it on your system, you could still play it. Well, there was what seemed to be a rumor going around, and it's kind of been debunked since then, but I wanted to bring this up just in case you do just want to play it completely safe and maybe you have a system that has it on there. It appeared that someone posted on Reddit that theirs would not boot anymore, and it seemed that there was an update on October 22nd that was keeping them from playing it. However, others have since then tested it, and it does still work. And after VentureBeat put out an article, it does appear that it could have something to do with name changes with the PlayStation Network. So keep that in mind, I guess. That could be something that could be broken from your PlayStation name being changed. And it also means that Konami isn't necessarily putting out an update to erase it or disable it. But it does kind of bring up the thought of what if they did. So keep that in mind. If you can back it up in some way or put it on a system that, well, isn't connected to the internet at all. I mean, it's tough to obviously disable your primary system's internet, but it's just something to kind of keep in mind there. And then we also got word of the PlayStation Plus games for November. There are games that you get as long as you have the PlayStation Plus membership throughout the year, the $6 a year thing they need to obviously put online and everything. And they put out the free games, or the quote-unquote free games, that will be available for all systems, because it does still include the Vita and the PS3, at least up till next year it will. And we'll kind of talk about that when we get to that point next year. But let's jump into what they have shown us now, including Yakuza Kiwami. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one to check out, especially if you've never checked out any of the Yakuza games, because you haven't been sure if you want to jump in and play it or you want to buy it. Well, it's going to be there, so it's worth picking up. Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition is fun. Again, I mean, it's going to be there as a PlayStation Plus game. I don't know if it's the best game, but it's still there. It's an arcadey style shooter, and it was, of course, kind of them taking the old Bulletstorm and bringing it up and putting a full price tag on it for $6. For PlayStation 3, Jackbox Party Pack 2, and then Arcado Series, and then PlayStation Vita, which is cross-buy with the PS4, Burly Men at Sea, and Roundabout. So a pretty good list there. Yakuza Kiwami, I think, really puts it over the top, and definitely is one you want to check out. Also, EA had an investors call and kind of talked about what they are doing and kind of what they're planning for next year, and they brought up Respawn. Now, of course, we know Respawn very well for their work with Titanfall. A lot of people really like Titanfall 2. I think the campaign was very good in that game. But we heard that they're doing the Jedi The Fallen Order for next, or at least we're going to see it next year. We hear about it a little further. Remember, that's the one that they kind of just told us about, someone in the crowd at this last EA play, and it was weird and awkward, and it was like, okay, I guess. But according to EA, that might not be the only project they're working on. This is actually a quote from the call saying, "You heard Andrew use a plural when he said games from Respawn. Just consider that a little Easter egg left in the earnings call for you. We'll announce more when we get there, but we've clearly got a lot of things working with all of our studios, and you should assume that there will be some things that we haven't announced that come out later in the year when we go to give guidance for next year." That was EA's COO and CFO Blake Jorgensen kind of confirming and talking a bit more about Respawn, kind of following up on what Andrew Wilson said about that. Yeah, it looks like Respawn's not just working on Fallen Order, they're working on another game. Could this be Titanfall 3? That would be interesting, although Titanfall 2 didn't sell very well. I think it was kind of left out to dry at the time. I think it came out between like, what, a Battlefield and a Call of Duty, and it was just like there hanging out. That's not a good spot for it. It would have done better away from two bigger shooters around it, put it out in like summer or even in like the springtime. It didn't do too well at all. But what if they're working on Titanfall 3? That would be pretty awesome. And it just sounds like they're working on maybe something a little closer to what they're good at, which is a shooter. I mean, we'll see. It could be really neat to see that. And we'll apparently have to wait till next year to find out more about that and the Fallen Order. All right, guys, some quick news out of the way. Let's jump into some of the bigger stuff. We're going to start with Medieval, because the Medieval remake trailer was put out. Of course, Sony told us like a week before that they build up the trailers now. It's where we are in video games now. We build up, hype up trailers. So the trailer comes out and it looks pretty good. I'm gonna admit, it looks very, very good. I liked Medieval back in the day. I actually rented that on my PS1. I rented the first one and I rented the second one when that came out later. See, the first one came out in '98, the second one came out in 2000, and they were both for the original PlayStation. And it's like a third-person action-adventure style game. It makes a lot of sense to have that trailer come out during Halloween. Obviously, you see it here. It looks very Halloween-themed, but it was a very fun game. It definitely calls back to the late '90s, early 2000s, and that style of gameplay. We're doing that, and Spyro, and Crash. Yeah, that's that type of game. And obviously, at least Crash has sold well. We'll see Spyro. I think Spyro will do well also. So yeah, let's get Medieval going. We heard about it at PSX. Looks great in this trailer, by the way. And apparently it is coming out next year. They have 2019 slated for this to release, and that's pretty awesome. Now when? Well, I mean, Halloween makes sense, right? Or just later on in the fall next year. They could also do it in the summer or something. I mean, really, it's not really dictated by the season. They can put it out whenever, but it looks good. I'm excited for it, definitely. Younger me is very excited for it too, because this just looks like old school Medieval brought up to like just current times. They even did that in the trailer. Like here's, the old school 32-bit visuals from the PlayStation 1, and then here is the ultra powerful, PS4 system playing it compared to the PS1, obviously. But exciting stuff, and we'll see what else they put out for this leading up to next year. All right, so we talked about the teasing from the Undertale Twitter yesterday, right? We talked about it. Oh, something's going to happen here. Come back 24 hours. Yeah, it's been 24 hours, and well, a new game came out. Well, kind of. At least we think it's a new game. This is the thing. They're being very cryptic about it. We're not really sure. But a very lengthy demo, a prequel, a sequel. I'm still playing through it myself. I'm about an hour in. I just wanted to fire it up and check it out and everything. I ended up playing for an hour because I liked Undertale. Undertale was great. This feels like Undertale, but with a more refined, more expansive battle system. I like the battle system more here, and it's very interesting to see this because, again, being very cryptic about it. Anyway, so Deltarune is what the game is called. The demo is called. I'm just going to call it the game. But the game is called Deltarune, and that is an anagram for, you guessed it, Undertale. Yeah, so here we are now. You can go download this game now. It appears when you first try to download it, Chrome sees it as a virus, and then you go to install it, Windows Defender sees it as a virus. It's not a virus at all. It's an executable that maybe looks suspicious to the system, but you can install it. It's no issue. And then what's very interesting, though, is Toby Fox on his Twitter put out that apparently when you go to uninstall it, it actually deletes the directory. I don't know if that's like purposeful or that's an accident. It's a very weird accident to happen. But yeah, so I guess put it somewhere where you don't really care. Like, don't go put it, I guess, in your program files or whatnot. They basically, people were saying, go make a folder somewhere, like on your desktop or something, and it should be fine as long as it exists in its own folder. Very weird, although some people were saying, why would you uninstall it? Anyway, the gameplay, yeah, it feels like Undertale, and now we're all kind of hanging out wondering what's going to happen here. Is this Undertale? Is this Undertale 2? Is this a prequel? So I like what I'm seeing so far. The music's good. The gameplay is, I think, better than Undertale. And it's very interesting to see this, but we still don't really know what's happening here. People are playing through it. They're saying it's like 4 hours, 5 hours at the most, but it's free. You go to the website, deltarune.com, you download it, and you start playing it. And we'll see what happens here, but there's a lot of other messaging in there that seems to be referencing, strangely, Smash Bros. So now there, of course, we're going to find out. You may already know by the time you're watching this. People are also pointing with theories to somehow this game, or just Undertale in general, being linked to Smash Bros. Ultimate in some way. That would be cool, but would Undertale really be able to fit into Smash? I mean, I guess they could, and we'll see. I mean, again, we might have already seen this, but interesting to look at here. If you're an Undertale fan, absolutely go download this and play it. I mean, it's free, and it according to, again, Toby Fox, they're looking for feedback because this could lead into the sequel of, I guess, just Undertale 2. I'm looking at this maybe as like a bridge between them. Like, this is something you go out there, you try out, and they are looking for feedback to see what you think about it. Almost like a beta that's free, single player, and it's like 4 or 5 hours. Like a lot of games now, actually, just, free. And our last bit of news, I want to touch on the Super Mario Party sales. Now, the thing about Nintendo is they showed up with their investors briefing and everything, talked about all kinds of sales everywhere. They also talked about those plug-and-play systems, the NES and the SNES plug-and-play systems, which, by the way, combined have reached 10 million units sold, which is insane, by the way, for those plug-and-play systems. It's crazy how fast that has taken off, and it makes a lot of sense why why Sony is jumping in with Nintendo into the plug-and-play market with the PlayStation Classic, which isn't as compelling, obviously, because the game's on there, but still, it'll be on the shelves at holiday season, and people will probably look at it and say, oh, I remember the PlayStation. I'm going to go and pick this up. So, Super Mario Party. 1.5 million units have sold, and this is interesting because Mario Party, like I said before, is another franchise that sold well at times, but its average sales aren't super high. And you might be wondering, well, how high are they usually? Well, here's a chart actually that has tracked them very well from VG Sales. This is a rough estimate over the times. And you could see a lot of them. For example, Mario Party 1, 2.7 million on the Nintendo 64. Mario Party 2, 2.48. Mario Party 3, 1.91. And it kind of fluctuates, but it generally stays right in that 2 to 2.5 range on average. Of course, games like Mario Party 8 at 8.85, that really benefited from the Wii's massive install base. But then look at Mario Party 9 at 3.11. I know that came out pretty much at the end of the Wii's life completely, actually after the Wii had already died, but still, 3.11 is going to be probably closed in on by Super Mario Party after the holidays here. Mario Party 10 is going to be outsold easily as well on the Wii U. This looks to be going to get close to Mario Party 8 probably in its lifetime because Nintendo themselves, they're calling this an evergreen title, which means they'll probably add free updates and DLC to it going forward. So I think this is going to be one of the better selling Mario Parties overall, clearly, because it's going to get, by the time we get reportings on this next time, which will probably be, I'm going to give it 3.5 million by then because it's going to have a full holiday. It could even be 4. I mean, Mario Party still sells well, and this probably covers the first 3 weeks on the market as they don't have the numbers up until October 30th, obviously, when they wrote this report. They eventually stopped getting numbers back from retailers and everything, or the warehouses. So they probably went, this probably was up to like October 25th or something like that. So yeah, October 25th, 26th, probably the first 3 weeks on the market there. So big things here from Super Mario Party, and it makes, I think, a lot of us much happier considering it's selling well, and that means that they will continue to add content because that game needs some online content, probably some extra boards and stuff. So we'll see if they treat it like they've treated some of their other games like Splatoon 2, Mario Tennis, and we'll see if they add more to it. Also, I wanted to touch on one other thing that's very interesting because we just talked about the online. Nintendo didn't give clear-cut numbers on how many people signed up for the online service. Now, of course, the online service came out in the second half of September, and everyone got to sign up at that point, get the NES games, and start playing online. But Nintendo didn't say exactly how many. They gave a Microsoft answer. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, to be fair, Microsoft actually tells us how many Xbox Live members they have. They don't tell us how many pay, but because you can have like a free account on on things like your PC and stuff. Technically, you can have a silver account. They tell us how many they have, which is quite a bit. Nintendo said half of the people that play online sign up for the online service. The way I see that is they lost half of their player base, which might mean, or really explain why a lot of people have seen some games like Mario Tennis kind of die off a bit because there are a lot of people just don't feel compelled to play. Why would they not give us a complete answer now, but they will tell us the exact number of Mario Party sales? Well, it's pretty clear. Mario Party sales are good. Nintendo Online memberships are not super high to report. How do you solve that? You release Smash Bros. And that's coming out in this quarter, and I can tell you now, we'll probably get exact numbers in the next report after the holidays when those numbers are much higher. It makes a lot of sense. Don't worry your investors when you know people are going to sign up, but give them something extra. Just be like, hey, Mario Party sales, 1.5 million in 3 weeks. It's pretty good. So yeah, we're going to be looking at those holiday numbers, 1, to see if they hit their projections, and 2, see if they tell us how many people have actually signed up. And guys, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button. It does help out. If not, hit the dislike. And leave comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it's Deltarune, that 24-hour lock is now up. So if you want to talk about Deltarune a bit, what do you think about it? Where you think maybe it falls into the Undertale timeline or is even connected? It feels like it is, obviously, because some of the characters pretty much look the same. But let me know what you think about that situation, especially if you're really in Undertale, because there are people who are really into it and they're really checking it out and seeing what they can connect and everything. So it's gonna be interesting to really see where this leads, and if we do eventually get that big announcement that there is a sequel or prequel in the works. Thanks guys for watching. Make sure you tune in. We're gonna have a lot of fun with the Smash Bros. Ultimate Direct. I'm really looking forward to see what new characters are announced, and I'll see you guys then.